were blind to the growing danger all around them. Now it became clear why Hannibal had adopted the crescent formation. As the Roman advance was sucked into the center of the crescent, the Libyan spearmen on the flanks wheeled round from both sides to catch the Romans in a vice.
People in the very center of this mob couldn't use their weapons. They were pelted by spears, javelins, stones, but they could not reply backwards. It was too compact, it was too tight.
The Romans are a big crowd. It's like people streaming out of a football match. They can't see what's going on.
At that moment, Hannibal's cavalry smashed through the Roman horsemen on both flanks and began to move around behind the legions. At the front, the Roman attack became bogged down because of its densely packed formation. At the back, the Carthaginian cavalry closed in. The trap was sprung. The vast army of Varro and Paulus was completely encircled.
Had they kept their wits about them, they could have had an organized breakout and still rescued the battle. So what happened? Fear happened. Emotion happened. Panic. It was a matter of spirit and elan and fear and all of those other emotions that explain why one side wins and one side loses.
Both of the Roman commanders were in the thick of the action, commanding cavalry detachment. Paulus, who had never wanted this fight, was knocked from his horse. He sat down on a rock, nursing a head wound. His officers urged him to leave, as Hannibal's army was just moments away. He refused, and seconds after they left, died in a hail of javelins. And Varro, who had been so keen for combat, he escaped back to Rome and was forgiven for his defeat.
No matter how unwise Varro's decisions might seem in retrospect, to the Romans at least, they're not going to criticize him because the great trait of all Roman commanders is aggression. You gotta remember that at Cannae, what happened should not have happened. Military strategists could not envision that a numerically inferior army could surround in a concentric manner on both sides a numerically superior force. So the very idea that someone like Hannibal could pull that off was just audacious and should not have happened.
By nightfall, Cannae was a field of blood and tangled limbs. The actual fighting had only taken 4 hours, but nearly 50,000 Romans and 10,000 Carthaginians were slaughtered. That's roughly 200 men each passing minute. Nearly 1/3 of all Roman senators, the men who governed Rome, lay slain or captured. This was the worst defeat ever suffered by Rome.
Cannae seems almost the perfect victory. A smaller but much better army takes on a very big, very strong opponent, and on an open plain, there's no ambush, there's no surprise. Hannibal, just by using his own skill and the quality of his men, overcomes this greater army, and doesn't just overcome it, he virtually destroys it.
News of the defeat terrified Rome. The city was now at Hannibal's mercy.
But he refused to march on it. His generals just couldn't understand. The way was now open. Why not finish off the Romans once and for all?
The answer may simply be, in part, exhaustion. Hannibal's fought the hardest battle of his life. He's lost a lot of his friends. He's lost a big chunk of his army. But even more importantly than that, marching straight on Rome would have been a big gamble. He didn't have the sort of army that could have coped with besieging Rome, starving it into submission, or directly assaulting it. He didn't have the force to do that.
Instead, Hannibal led his army around Italy for the next 14 years. Too weak to conquer Rome, too strong to be defeated in battle.
He'd struck 3 hammer blows to the heart of Rome, and still she had not fallen. Her revenge would be terrible. A revitalized Roman army attacked Carthage. Hannibal was summoned back to organize the defense, but was defeated at Zama in North Africa. He was forced into exile. But still Rome pursued him. Finally, in what is now Turkey, he took his own life, poisoning himself to avoid Rome's assassins. Hannibal was 63. The Romans thought they were rid of him for good, but he lived on in legend.
Hannibal was one of the great boogeymen of the Romans. Nurses for centuries after used to say, Hannibal will get you, to frighten the children.
It's a figure that enters deep into the Roman psyche, the big bad wolf type of thing. Hannibal is there. Hannibal is someone who almost appears like an elemental force, who bursts across the Alps, scatters Roman armies to all sides, and takes Rome to the very brink.
Hannibal had kept his oath to his father and his gods, but in failing to destroy Rome, he succeeded in making it stronger. The Romans learned a bitter lesson and reorganized their armies. Within 50 years of Hannibal's death, they would wipe Carthage from the map, plow up the ground on which it stood, and sow the earth with salt. But they could not wipe out the memory of Cannae. Hannibal had written that in Roman blood.